Beauty of silence and be joyful. You will remember this moment and hear all the right notes. Dance to it always, all by striving to live in harmony. Rob and Tani, we are so excited to celebrate you. This is just the beginning.
Wow! Hello, everybody! Get ready to cheer a lot. Welcome, everyone, to Tani and Rob's wonderful wedding weekend! Tani and Rob's wedding weekend! Tani and Rob's wedding weekend! Tani and Rob, Tani and Rob, Tani and Rob's wedding weekend! That's gonna catch on. I'm pretty sure I speak for everyone when I say we are so excited to be here in Detroit celebrating your upcoming marriage. Yay. I'm Lauren. Tani's next door neighbor. Yes, that's me. I have a last name, but you don't need to know it. Anyway, Tani drove up to the house. I still remember this day with Roger and Jen in the front seat, Tani in the back. Tani and I locked eyes. Tani locked eyes with my basketball hoop, and it was like instant sisters! Except Tani was the amazing at everything sister. No surprise to anyone. So Tani told me that I was only allowed to do this job if I shared the mic, which I will do. I'm just gonna tell one quick story first. And that is the story of the first summer of Tani and I on East Boulevard. Thank you. And Tani brought a lot to the party of neighbors, including these wireless, hands-free walkie-talkies that you could wear, and it was like the coolest thing ever. And we'd wear them under our helmets and talk to each other while we were biking. And so we were on this ride one day, and I was like, Tani, listen up. There is a big crack in the neighborhood, in the sidewalk coming up, so follow me, I know the way. And then I went around it, and I looked back, and Tani's like popping a wheelie, flying over it like it's no big deal, because that's Tani making everything look like a dance. And so I have plenty more stories where that came from, but like I said, I'm going to share this talking stick. And first up, we have Tani's other amazing neighbors, Kim and Alex Renzi.
Hello and welcome. Very excited to be here. So, Tani and Rob. For those who we have not met yet, we are also neighbors, but we are Kim and Alex. And we live a 35-second walk away from Rob and Tani on Dean Street in Brooklyn.
And where's Ty and shout out to the other Dean Street crew that
Yeah, where are they? Where's Craig? Where's Joe?
Oh, there you are.
Dean Street, Gracie.
They just got in.
They just got in. So while we are blessed to call Rob and Tani neighbors, we consider them way more than that. They are our chosen family, our pandemic pod. Our forever double daters and overseers of our extended living room, which you guys might know as PDA.
Correct. And we're so honored to stand here tonight and celebrate Tani and Rob, especially as they did the same for us not that long ago at our wedding, when Tani was Kim's bridesmaid and Rob was our beautiful beer boy. Where am I at?
You got it.
I don't know where I'm at.
You're doing great. And while our toast.
Oh yes, yes.
Mary.
All right, finally then, as while our toast won't be nearly as eloquent as the one on our wedding, we hope to do them some honor, and we're very lucky to stand up here and talk about their partnership.
You crushed that. And we truly feel like that is what Tani and Rob are together. They are partners, certainly to each other and definitely to the two of us. We are continually inspired by how you guys communicate together and how much care, love, and respect you put into one another. You approach your relationship as both something aggressively out of your control, it's love, after all, and then something completely within your control, a living, growing entity that requires devotion, attention, and your endless energy.
You push and challenge each other, supporting each other through the small things, like trying to figure out how you're gonna house this huge sneaker collection in your tiny, huge in both respects, sneaker collection in your tiny New York apartment, and through the big things like opening arguably one of the best pizza restaurants in Brooklyn. Literally on the first day of the lockdown,
We have a very unique vantage point into this dynamic. A peek into your daily lives for both the really, really shiny moments and also the gritty ones that take patience and perseverance. When we were talking about how we describe you guys and how you guys fit together, the word that we came up with was just flow. Like, you have flow. A flow that's real and intrinsic, that requires no thought or force, and at the same time is consciously cared for and adjusted with intention. It's a flow that I know Janet in particular is supremely proud of.
As partners ourselves, we're blessed to have you as an example. But as individuals, you're better friends than we could hope for. So I'd like to take a moment just to tell you how much your friendship has meant to me being over here. So in case you don't know, and if you can't tell, I'm not from around here. And when I first moved over to America, I didn't know a lot of people, and I had Kim's friends, a lot of who are here today, and who I love. But Rob was really one of the first people that I felt like was my friend, and that was important. We quickly discovered rapport amounts of beer and cooking and whiskey and complaining about our type A girlfriends. And Rob was very, very inclusive from the beginning, inviting me to Bronx Pizza Festival, to buck up nights at a restaurant, and a road trip to the U.
Yeah.
It was really important. And I just wanted to say, like, Rob, you made me, as a foreigner, feel welcome in this country. And Tani, I knew that you were a cool person, but it really hit home when we had planned a Lord of the Rings marathon.
Yeah.
That I was not invited to.
Yeah, no, Kim wasn't invited to it. And Tani turns up in full costume, everything. We planned a food thing, and it was a whole thing. And it was that thing where I was like, oh, I discovered that she's an awesome person. So yeah, I just wanted to say that it's really been a privilege to be your friend, both of your friends, and I'm looking forward to watching our partnerships grow and evolve together.
Apparently Alex doesn't need a microphone because he's so accustomed to speeches at American weddings. Tani, there's not enough time to describe how much your friendship means to me, one that continues to grow deeper, especially over these past 2 years. You gave me a brief of 5 minutes, and I said, 5 minutes, it fucking is. So what I will say is, sorry, bye, Michigan, we're from New York. What I will say is you are a soul sister to me. You are the sage advice and calming presence that I will always seek out in this beautiful life that we have alongside each other. Thank you for putting up with all of my briefs, as you like to call them, and for always being there, whether you're next door or not. And Chef Rob, my favorite hugger, thank you for getting Alex out of the house every once in a while, and for putting up with the group Marvel costumes that I will keep forcing you into for the next foreseeable future. But most of all, thank you for being the most kind, most stable man, and the best partner to one of my best friends. We love you guys so much. Incredible weekend and an incredible couple, and we love you.
back to me. Just kidding. Okay, so there's this one time in high school, Tani and I both ran cross country, and it was Mount Sac, and the mountains are made of dust, and it was not easy. And I tried to tell Tani what was up, give her a heads up. I'm a year older, you know what I mean. I was like, Tani, listen up, Mount Sac's coming up, it's all in California. Anyway, follow me, I got this. And Tani comes in 5th place in this race just because she wanted to do cross country as a side hobby. And I'm pretty sure you want to know what place I came in. It was 216. I know, not too shabby, right? Not too shabby. But this story isn't about Tani, it's actually about Roger. Roger was there cheering me on. Long after Tani had celebrated, rested, had a snack, celebrated again, Roger was there. And he helped me. And my neighbor, Gary Elmendorf, we were talking about this after the race, because, you know, neighborhood chats and such. And he says to me, Lolo, Tani is just like a knife in the wind. I was like, Gary, what does that make me? A spatula? Spatulas are a very useful kitchen tool, people. So, anyway, next up we have Todd Beaumont, one of Rob's BFFs.
When I prepared for this, I pictured it in front of about 20 people around a table before we all started drinking, so it's a different speech. So I'm sure we're all excited for tomorrow and getting to be a part of this. I'm honored they've asked me to be a part of your wedding. It's been great getting to meet everybody. Getting to meet Tani. Rob's been my friend since we were little. She's just so warm, inviting, it's fun. She puts out such a good vibe, you can't help but be excited for Rob. When Rob called and said he was gonna ask Tani to marry him, my first thought was finally, because I've been telling him to wife her up for like 2-3 years. But now we finally got there, so that's good. The second thing I thought was what Rob is as a person. How he doesn't really do anything half-assed. He doesn't really quit. He doesn't do anything. I mean, when we were little, he told me he was going to play college basketball. And when I met him, he was one of the most uncoordinated, unathletic people that I knew. He's still not the most athletic person. But through hard work, determination, he put in the time to really... And he played college basketball. And then we went off to college, we did our different things, and he said, I'm gonna bike across America. And that's from California to Michigan. And he decided to do it. I mean, he really did. He biked from California back to Michigan. I mean, 100 miles into it, he did run into the back of a car and put his head through the window. But he picked that wobbly ass bike and he finished it. He wasn't gonna stop. He biked across America. Now he said he was gonna open a restaurant. He went and worked in different restaurants and learned everything he needed to do to open his own restaurant, and he opened one in Brooklyn from a town. He came from a town where the nicest restaurant in our town, if you want to take your lady out for a dinner, is Applebee's. There's nothing wrong with Applebee's, but like that is our high class. So like for him to go out and learn and do that, he did it. And 3 weeks later, COVID hit, and it killed a lot of small businesses and a lot of restaurants. But Rob, being Rob and not giving up, has 2 restaurants. So when he called me and said, I'm gonna marry Tani, every experience I've had with this guy for the last 20-something years is he does it, and he's not gonna quit, and they're gonna give us tiny diamonds, hopefully. I'm just so happy for you guys. Let's raise our glass.
I don't have any more stories.
No, I don't believe you.
JK, I do, but they're not for the stage. Okay, high five your neighbor, hug your neighbor, because next up we have the Zach and Jonah Wiener
All right. Hello, I am Jonah. And I'm Zach.
Yeah!
And we've had the good fortune to know Tani since we were 7 years old. For those of you who have known Tani even for a moment, what you probably immediately recognized is that she is actually the best person you've ever met. And we don't mean like, oh, Tani's the best. We literally mean the best person, best human being we know. This has been the case for the entire 27 years we've known her, and we even have evidence for this fact. Some of you know, but in middle school and high school at Brentwood, the school gave out what's called the Director's Award. It was quite literally the award for the best person in your class. Zach and I, of course, were never in the running for the award. But Tani won this award every single year from 7th grade to 12th grade. So when we say best, what we mean is 6-time Director's Award winning best person you know, Tani Brown. So what makes Tani the best person we know? The first thing that comes to mind is her capacity, through whatever magic powers she possesses, to bring goodness into every situation and to every person around her. Tani may be the reason I myself am married to the love of my life. In the fall of 2012, when I was courting my colleague at the time and now wife, Jacqueline Rose. Problematic, a little problematic. One night, we had a work party at the Gansevoort rooftop in New York City. I liked Jax, and I asked Tani and my brother Jonah to wingman me. Jonah was more of a liability. But Tani was an asset. Once Jax and I became serious, we looked back at that night, and she said Tani was really the key to the setup. Why, I asked. Well, she said, I didn't like you at work, and I found you too nerdy. But when I met Tani that night, I thought, if she's friends with him, he must be cooler than I think. As we all know, Tani is an unconditional hype woman. Something maybe she gets from Roger, who has always been the ultimate hype man for Tani and all her friends. After seeing a high school performance of Shakespeare I did, once he kindly but misguidedly told me I should be performing at the Globe Theatre in London. So Tani, thank you for helping bring the goodness of my wife into my own life. I'm so excited for you and Rob to experience the goodness of marriage as well. Zach and I met Tani in 2nd grade, where she already possessed both a strong moral compass, but also an inclination toward empathy and forgiveness. After famously calling us out for cheating on our Brentwood School entrance exam, which we did, she decided to give us a second chance. And how grateful I am that she did. Tani has been my best friend since 2nd grade, which has served me very well because I've been able to learn from Tani's wisdom from a very young age. Tani has always been wise, but it's her quiet wisdom, the wisdom in making people feel heard and understood, that perhaps has had the greatest impact on me. When we were young, Tani and I took hip-hop class together every Tuesday for many years, culminating in a capstone performance to Maya's perennial classic Case of the X at my bar. Every evening before hip-hop, like we should. After party. Guys, wait for that. Every evening before hip-hop, Tani and I would sit in my closet, foreshadowing for me, I suppose, for what we began to call Tuesday talks. She would listen intently as I rattled on about what I had learned about sex from my older cousins. Rob, you can thank me later. What strikes me now about how important those interactions were for me is that regardless of how completely useless the information I was sharing was, she made me feel like it and I had value. There's a lot of wisdom in being the kind of friend Tani is, and the way I feel about Tani to this day is perhaps best encapsulated in my totally unhinged, literally 3-page yearbook entry in Tani's 7th grade yearbook, which I will share some of, not in its entirety, to spare you all. I wrote, "I don't know someone who has met you who does not love you. You are my heart. You give so much to everyone, but most of all, you give so much to me. If everyone in the world was like you, there would be peace everywhere." There is a chorus of a song that reminds me of my relationship to you, and I would like to write it out for you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I wish I could be. I could fly higher than an eagle because you are the wind beneath my wings. I continue. Tani, I will treasure you in my heart until I am a senile old man and my teeth are falling out. I hope you are there when I am on my deathbed and I can be buried next to you. So, a couple of takeaways here. I have always loved Tani. Also, I was a freak. But if you really know Tani, you know she has always loved freaks. And I mean, not in a judgmental way. She is genuinely fascinated and has a deep love for people whose minds work just a little bit differently than everyone else's, because hers does as well. And I think that's what's allowed us to build the kind of magic and preternatural trust we have in our own friendship. That even as an awkward, very dramatic gay child, I've always felt like I could be 100% of myself around Tani. And that was really challenging for me and a lot of other early friendships in my life. Tani, you are my hero. You are my sister, and you are truly a devoted friend. It's funny, I get a text from Tani about once a week reminding me how lucky we are to be in each other's lives and to have communities around us that love us unconditionally and support who we are. Tani, it's really we who are the lucky ones.
And how lucky, Tani, that through you, we now have Rob. Rob is a creative, and his mind also works differently than everyone else's. And he is a community builder. Despite opening his first restaurant the week before the city shut down, he persevered and built a community at PDA that essentially saved us all during the pandemic.
But perhaps the most interesting thing to watch about you choosing Rob as a partner, and this may come as a surprise to many people, is how much he reminds us of our beloved Janet, who we miss and love so dearly. We know there's the obvious stuff like they're both 6'4" corn-fed Michiganders. Truly though, Rob has Janet's quiet curiosity about the world around him. He has her soulfulness, her creativity, and her devotion to a singular craft. And most of all, he shares her profound love for our dearest Tani, the best person we know.
There are so many ways Janet is here with us tonight, and ways in which we're still listening to her spirit and will be forever. Long friendships, this one now just over 27 years, end up almost requiring you to focus on the important things. And Tani has always kept us focused on the important things. Janet always did too. She was a prolific writer, and Tani has frequently shared her words with us, which often distilled complicated thoughts into simple and powerful observations. Janet once wrote, "Life is not easy. There will be moments of elation and moments of despair, but life goes on steadily and surely. The sun rises in the morning. Keep in mind the yang and yin of life. Yang is light and yin is dark. It is continuously in motion. Keep the focus and be still. Listen to the sounds of nature. Do not rush. Everything you do has a logical sequence.
We can't imagine a more logical sequence than you, Tani, marrying Rob, and we can't wait for what's next. We love you both.
That was quite the yearbook entry. Aunt Kathy wanted me to remind everyone that one of the ways that we can honor Janet's spirit tomorrow is by jamming down on the dance floor all night. So for our last speaker up tonight, and then we're gonna all learn that dance you guys talked about. Hao Shen, Rob's roommate.
So I met Rob freshman year at Hope. I think I remember we were looking for the physics building one of the first weeks on campus. Since that time, we've had a lot of adventures together, like learning to craft or brew beer, visiting Stewie over in Kalamazoo at Bell's. And competing in the notorious Gregor Dog Challenge. Most recently, I had the opportunity to meet Tani when Rob and Tani came to visit in San Antonio. We had a good time, walking the Riverwalk, seeing the Alamo, and sharing some tacos and barbecue. We even found a bullet hole that was left behind by Teddy Roosevelt in an old bar. So that's the thing I enjoy about hanging out with. One of the things I enjoy about hanging out with Rob. He's a good dude to go walking and exploring with. And I feel like, spending some time with Tani, she's similar soul in that way. So I'm very honored to be here today to celebrate with you all. And to Tani and Rob, may you both have many years of walking and exploring together.
All of our favorite people in the same room. It's awesome. Thanks so much for coming. Let's do this here.
Go on, Rob. It's at the top.
Yeah, so let's, thank you so much for coming. I just want to ask everybody, today, tomorrow, Sunday morning, let's get after it.
Be the mic drop moment and just say, I'm excited to marry Robert Allen Guyman tomorrow. I love everyone in this room so much. So, a lot of happy tears. We got a great band. We're gonna jam, and thank you so much for being here.